lot of people have been asking me, like, Sean, like, what does it take to be an Airbnb host? Like, how hard is it? And my answer is never really straight. It's not that it's simple. It's definitely not. It's complex. There's a lot to learn and a lot to know and a lot of moving parts in an Airbnb business, but at the same time, it's not hard either. There's not one thing that makes it super difficult to run an Airbnb business that'll keep an average person from being successful. So in this video, I want to talk to you about what it takes to be successful on Airbnb, so that way you can do it too. By the end of this video, you'll be ready to host. I guarantee it. Okay. Line, let's start with the obvious. Airbnb is a software. It's a piece of technology. They have a website, they have an app, and it gives you the opportunity to make millions of dollars, even per year, on their platform. And the way that people make money on Airbnb is by putting property on Airbnb, so that way someone else can stay there. You can either be the owner of the property, you can represent the owner, or you could be a tenant of the property with permission from the owner in order to put it on Airbnb and advertise the space. Now, the spaces are typically furnished. They're ready for somebody to check in, much like a hotel. Then someone stays the night, stays the week, stays the month, and then they check out and move on their way later. And you make however much money the guest is willing to pay you when they travel. And if you do what I do, which is where you pay your rent first and then you do this, you get to keep whatever's in the middle. So if your rent is $1,500 a month and you make $4,000 a month on Airbnb, you get to keep roughly that $2,500 in the middle. So that's how people make money on Airbnb. Simple enough, right? Get a house, put it on Airbnb, someone moves in. But because it's not a typical real estate venture, right? You don't just buy a property, find a year-long tenant, and they write you a monthly check, and it's pretty passive. There's more to Airbnb than just having and listing a property. You're going to need some skills. You're going to need to know really what it takes in here in order for you to be successful, because the more you know, the better you'll do. In a past video, I talked about the 7 parts of an Airbnb business. And you know what's funny? Those 7 parts are pretty much the 7 parts of any other business, just the same. So you'll have things like marketing and sales and operations and human resources and all this other stuff that goes into it. So let's break down how those kind of affect your, future Airbnb business and kind of what you want to have to be prepared to host on Airbnb. As an Airbnb host, you'll have the opportunity to list a space. And in order to list a space, you're going to need to have photos of your space. Well, that's probably one of the biggest things, is have a home and then have some photos. And those photos have to be good. So you need to understand what looks attractive to a traveler. Right? So somebody's going to be going through Airbnb listings and they may find your space. And when they find your space, they're going to go through your photos. Did you know that 6 out of every 10 travelers on Airbnb, their first action when looking at an Airbnb listing is to skip any reading and just go through the photo reel and look through all the photos and see what they like? A lot of people will make their decisions solely on the photos. Reviews are close second. I think when people consider a space, they'll do photos, reviews, and then read the descriptions. So in order to take good photos, you're going to have to know a couple things, right? So there's a lot that goes to the point that you actually have your space ready for photography, right? So you'll have to take an empty home. You'll have to decide what furniture goes in the home. You have to decide what you think looks good. So you'll want to do a little bit of research on interior design. Those basic best practices on interior design. You don't have to be awesome. My first Airbnb listings were very, very basic. I just hey, here's a couch, coffee table, TV stand, TV. Here's a little bit of artwork. And they looked as well as some man in his mid-20s without any education on design could do. And for Airbnb at the time, that definitely did the trick. It's getting more competitive now, I'm going to be honest. So you have to do a better job. You can still make money just taking your home as is and placing it on Airbnb. But in order to get the best photos, you're going to want to work on the aesthetic or the look of your space. So Aspects of interior design should be, the size of your furniture as they scale inside of your home, and fully utilizing your space so that way it flows well. You kind of walk into the living room and walk out another way, and just the general flow of the living room looks good. You don't want to have what's called like a barren or a stark looking home. That's probably when I got bad reviews for my listings. When people stayed, they would say, well, this was a great home overall, like I like the location and everything, but there just was no artwork on the walls and it looks very plain, and so it wasn't really inviting. So you're gonna add some decor, you're gonna add some greenery, you're gonna buy a couple more pieces of furniture than you would like to, and you'll build out that home to look like pretty. And when you take photos, you're gonna take what is good now because you designed it better, because you cared for the design, and now you're going to use photography best practices. And I have other videos, of course, on how to take photography, but essentially you want to shoot low and across the room. You're not going to shoot down at your furniture. That's just like number one. And also you want to be mindful of lighting. One window with a bunch of light and then no light anywhere else in the house can look very much poor. And even if you don't have a professional to do your photography, as long as you just get the lighting down and you get the angle of your photo down, you can pretty much get like a good 8 out of 10 on your photos. And as long as you do better than the average Joe, you'll get a better performance. Especially your main photo. Airbnb calls it a hero photo. We all call it a thumbnail. It's going to be the first photo that anybody sees when your listing is advertised. You want to have a good, colorful, bright photo in order to attract guests. So it will take the ability to design a space, to be ready for photography, and to do a good basic job of taking photos. That is like the biggest first part of being an Airbnb host, is marketing. Right? Design the home and then market the home well through photography. Next is your follow through. You've sold a bill of goods to a traveler per se. Somebody's going to reach out to you on Airbnb and ask you about your space. You're going to need to be available. This is not passive. So it's going to take your effort and your care and your attention for a while until you hire other people to run your business for you. Just like me. I have dozens of housekeepers and multiple managers, and now they run everything, but they are all available. And that allows me to work on the business from the outside instead of being stuck in the business. But they are fast. They are fast when guests send messages or send requests. And so you're going to have to be available for your future guests. You're going to have to be friendly. Don't be short with your guests. Write well. Don't use that short, what are you doing, the R and then the U kind of text. You want to use full, proper grammar. You are a customer service person at this moment in time. And by being pleasant and available, people will book your space. And then when they arrive, they're going to need to have a generally easy check-in. So now this takes a little bit of intuition and a little bit of empathy. So that's another thing that you're going to want to make sure that you kind of check the box for, is you want to put yourself in your guests' shoes when they come in and they arrive at your space. I did a video way back on how to be the best host ever. And one of the things that I talk about in that video is that you need to put everything in good intuitive order. So for example, if your fridge has a water filter, where should the cups be? You've got 12 cabinets to put cups in. Well, you should probably put the cups in the cabinet closest to the water filter, right? Your coffee cups should be in the cabinet closest to your coffee machine, etc., right? So everything should be in an intuitive layout. And so this means that when you design your space, when you're planning for your guests to check in, when you're ready to host these guests, you are thinking about just the little details that are going to matter to them. So empathy, really at the core of it, is going to be what really allows you to give your guests a positive guest experience. You'll also have to be pretty darn organized, especially if you have multiple Airbnbs. Because what's funny about an Airbnb, and this is what also especially separates it from being a landlord, is you're going to be responsible for inventory. We're talking about shampoo, toilet paper, paper towels, other consumables that people will use, like coffee and stuff. And these things will start to run out in your Airbnb as people use them naturally, right? So you'll need to be on top of restocking things in these homes. Now, we at scale with 100 properties, we have everything in reserve, right? We've got a big amount of storage. And then we also have closets inside of our apartment buildings that have a little bit of storage. So that way when an apartment is running out, we have a local storage inside the building that we can go get all the extra stuff, but then centrally we have tons of stuff, and we can get things cheaper by buying in bulk. And we have this this process for, you could say, even logistics for our inventory control. But at the very basic in the beginning, even if you have one apartment, you're going to want to make sure that you've got a good attention to detail so you don't miss restocking things, and you're going to want to stay organized so that way you never forget about a part of your listing. And you can even write this all out and have it like on an Excel spreadsheet and track these types of things, especially when you're new. I'll tell you that when you're new, a lot of this will be overwhelming. This is natural. When something's new, you're going to be overwhelmed. So you're going to look at things a lot more than somebody like me. A lot of stuff is just like wallpaper to me now. But every new detail of a business, you're like, did I do the coffee? Did I fold the bed right? Like, is the guest going to be cool? Like, there's all these things that you're going to wonder when you're new, because you don't know if it matters or not. You don't know what the consequences are in the back end of not doing a good job. So by being organized, keeping good notes, and keeping track of these little things, you won't let the little things slip up, and it'll save you from having like a stressful day as a host. And stress is probably the key cause of mistakes, right? When you're stressed, you forget stuff, or you behave improperly, or you're short with people. And I'll tell you that the only times that I've ever been short with my guests and didn't get 5-star reviews for guest communication was I was like stressed out of my mind about something, and I just didn't give the guests the time that they deserved. That actually leads me to another big important one. You're going to need to have some patience, right? Building a business is not something that anybody can do. It's not for everyone. You're not entitled to success. Nobody owes you success. You're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to build through people and with people. So you're going to have hard guests. You're going to have good guests. You're going to have hard housekeepers. When you start hiring housekeepers, sometimes they're not going to do a good job. And it's going to be wonderful when it's easy, but you need to make sure you do just as good of a job when it's not easy, right? It's on you as a business owner to make sure that everything goes well for your guests. You owe them that. You're also going to need to like this video. It's super important for your success as an Airbnb host to give it a like, and of course subscribe, because there's tons of stuff that you're going to learn in depth here on this channel. And if you're not yet subscribed, this is your opportunity to. So I welcome you to this channel. If you're a new host or looking to be a host, welcome. This one is funny because it may seem like we don't need to talk about it, because right now you're doing a great job. You're watching this channel, but you need to stay open-minded and willing to learn if you're going to be an Airbnb host. Now, right now you're new, so you're such a sponge. You're soaking up all of this information and you want to learn it all, and you're going to binge watch these videos. But I notice professionals, as they get more tenured in whatever it is that they're good at, they start to crystallize their experiences and start to solidify their perspective on whatever it is that they are good at, and they're less willing to adapt and less willing to change, and they stop searching for new information. And people, when they become good and they peak and then they stop reinvesting in themselves intellectually, they become slowly worse and worse at what they do. And the rest of the world continues to learn and grow and innovate because there's always new information. And if you're unwilling to pick up that new information, or you just stop making that action of learning, you become less competitive. And so if you want to stay good at this, after you get good, you want to stay good at this, you need to constantly learn. And you need to constantly challenge the way that you look at the business that you do. As general as this last one may sound, it's probably the most important, and I cannot speak enough on this topic, which is you need to treat Airbnb like a business. So we talked about the fact that you need to market your space, and there's customer service before the guest arrives, and there's organization like tracking inventory and restocking toilet paper and little things like that. But there's so much more to running a business, because you'll be hiring housekeepers. So having an interview process and HR will pop up. You're going to be controlling your costs. Are you spending too much on furniture? Are you spending too much on your shampoo? Are you losing things? Are guests taking things and you're not billing those guests for the losses that you're incurring, and you're like taking little mini losses along the way that affects your long-term profitability? Are you not monitoring your competition's price points and like making sure that you're price effective so that way your calendar fills up? Are you not looking at those market forces like increased demand or decreased demand for seasonality in your market? Are you not trying to control consumer behavior with your pricing strategy? I mean, pricing strategy is my absolute favorite topic, because running an Airbnb, the only couple big ways that running an Airbnb is different than running a hotel is there's a one-to-one relationship with the way you market the property and the availability or the inventory. So to give you like a better example, there's a hotel that has 200 rooms, and 100 of those rooms are like generic king bed suites, right? Or generic double queen suites. And they can do a bunch of marketing, and as 50, 60 people book, they haven't assigned a room to those guests yet. When the guest checks in, they'll start handing off room keys and say, okay, you're in room 240, you're in room 270. They don't have to create this one-to-one relationship. They just have to generically know that they have enough inventory, and so that way they don't accidentally double book people. But your address, apartment number 10, when you sell apartment number 10 off, obviously you can't continue to market apartment number 10 those days. And so it becomes harder and harder to fill an Airbnb after it has some bookings. When your calendar is wide open, you can have any bookings in the world, right? Somebody could stay for a day, they could stay for 30 days. But if every single weekend is booked on your calendar, and then all you have is like Sunday through Thursday available, people have to stay 5 days or less in order to fit into those remaining days. So treating your Airbnb with the same kind of just generic blast approach that a hotel would have is actually going to cause you to underperform. You will make less money. So you need to think about all these little things. Being an Airbnb host isn't inherently hard. There's just a lot that goes into it. So there's a lot to learn. This is a broad topic, and this channel, of course, has a couple hundred videos on how to host on Airbnb, so you're in the right spot. But stay open-minded. Don't look at it like a real estate play. Don't look at it like as one little thing. If you're good at sales, or you're good at copywriting, good at photography, good at customer service, great. Be good at that one thing, but understand that that's not going to be the only thing that you're going to come and build your Airbnb business with. So thanks for watching Airbnb Automated. I hope you all have a killer 2020 hosting on Airbnb. If you need me, put in the comments, ask some questions for now. And then otherwise, I'll see you on the other side.